write any notes anywhere on your worksheets to help you with your study notes. This is going to help you write poetry, but you do not need to know it for the exam. So if you want to on this page, you can write, you do not need to know it for the exam, but you do, if we're studying poetry, this is the guide that we use to write poetry. Okay, so take your highlighter. It's called the Spitz Guide, SPITS. Each letter stands for something. It's an acronym. Right, so the first S, when we go to write a poem, we need to have what? A topic, something that we're going to write about, and we call it our highlight, subject matter. So what is the thing that we're writing about? What is the poem about? Is it an event? Is it a situation? Is it an experience that somebody went through? Are you writing it because you are a feminist and you want to share your ideas? What is your subject matter? Okay, so if you see somewhere in poetry, someone says, what is the subject matter? I'm asking you, what is it about? Okay, then the P stands for purpose or the theme or the message. Why do we write something? If I ask you in class, why do we write an essay, you're going to say, because you tell me to, ma'am. Okay, but what is the purpose? If I give you an essay, creative essay, what do you think the purpose is? Yes, Leonie? Very good. To tell a story or to create, to entertain. If I ask you to do an instructional text, tell me how, if I was to drive in my car, how would I get from school to your house? Is that written to entertain? No, what's it written for? What's the purpose? Yes. Very good. All right, so you understand purpose, yes? Highlight purpose, the theme or the message, all the same thing. Sometimes people write poetry to bring across a message of freedom or of poverty or sadness or happiness. Okay, they bring across a purpose or a theme. So why did the poet write the poem? Then the I stands for identify emotion, mood, and feeling. Highlight that whole thing. What is the predominant emotion or mood of the poem? So when you read a poem, because it's creative, the same as when you listen to a song, what was the idea? What are they trying to make you feel? When you read a sad song, makes you feel sad. A song that somebody wrote about their mother, for example, and their mother's no longer with them, you feel the sadness or you feel the hatred even. What's the emotion that they're trying to make you feel? And poetry is like that. You're supposed to feel something. Even silly poetry, Dr. Seuss, where it all rhymes, you're supposed to feel something. Okay, so it says there, what's the predominant emotion of the poem? And does it change? We will discuss a poem where it's quite serious and quite sad, and then it changes to a happy tone. Okay, when you write poetry, grade 7, we keep it in one emotion mainly, okay? So what emotions or feelings does the poet seek to evoke? Beautiful word, the word evoke. Evoke means to pull it out of you. So what does the poet want? What feeling do they want to pull out of you when you read their poem? The next one, the T is for technique. Now listen carefully. The acronym here, SLIMS, you do not need to know for the exams. You do not need to know in grade 7 at all. It's there to help you. This is the technique of how do you set the poem up to create effects. Do you use, what structure do you use? What you can highlight there is the word stanza. Highlight the word stanza. What is a stanza? Have you heard of it before? What's a stanza? Yes, Oliver. Very good. So when you write your exam, I'm not going to say in paragraph 3 of the poem. I'm going to say in stanza 3. Okay, so it's a paragraph. We only use it when we talk about poetry. Okay, the same as in music. What do we call a paragraph in music? Yes, very good, a verse. Okay, so this is the structure. It's just talking about the structure, the language, the imagery that you create, the movement, the rhythm, and the sound. So when we write poetry, we can come back to this and we can look at all of these things. Then the last S is summary, which is your response. Once you've analyzed a poem, once someone's read a poem, it's important to put together all of the information and then think about what impact did that poem make? Was it good? Did I enjoy it? Did it make me think? Did I hate it? Did I not understand it? Did it have no rhythm and rhyme? Think about it. Analyze poetry. I'm asking you to think. And often in these situations, there's not really wrong answers because your opinion, you can say, I hate this poem. It's terrible. Or you can say, this was, I quite like this part, or I felt what the reader was or the writer was saying. Poetry is quite subjective, but you do need to have most of the right answers most of the time. All right, so that section there, the spits, you do not need to know for the exam. Underneath, highlight rhyming couplet, the heading rhyming couplet. Who can tell me what word can you see in the word couplet? There's a word within the word. Yes, Emmanuel. Couple, yes. What is a couple? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many people is a couple? 2. Correct. Rhyming couplet is when two words rhyme or a pair. So take your highlighter and highlight pair. Yeah, you can see pairs of lines that rhyme. Just highlight pair to remind you that it's two. As you go into the senior college, you'll learn about all different types of couplets. Grade 7, we only need to know the rhyming couplet, 2 words. Have a look at the poem there, and it's an extract from The Little Red Riding Hood and the Wolf by Roald Dahl. Let's have a look and see if you can see the rhyming couplet. As soon as the wolf began to feel that he could eat a decent meal, he went and knocked on Grandma's door. When Grandma opened it, she saw the sharp white teeth, the horrid grin, and the wolfie saying, "May I come in?" Okay, which words rhyme with each other? Where is the pair? Yes, Henry? Very good. Next one. Yeah, next one, Leonie. Door and saw and? Very good. Okay, so you can see, makes it even easier. The pairs are right after each other. Okay, so if I ask you in the exam, go and find the rhyming couplet, or can you give me the 2 words in this rhyming couplet that rhyme with each other? You'd be able to answer it, yes? Awesome. On the next page, we can go over this briefly. Similes, we do a million times. From grade 3 upwards, we simile, simile, simile. Take your highlighter, highlight the heading simile, highlight the word as or like. Is anybody here has never heard of a simile? All right, so you have heard of it, you do know it. In there, we love to ask it in exam. Go find the simile, and then all you do is you look for a comparison using like or as. What I want to ask you to do today, here. If we look at the examples, who can change it into a metaphor? Simile, like or as, metaphor, we say it is that object. So if we look at the first one, the thief was as sly as a fox is a simile. Emmanuel, how do we change that into a metaphor?
The thief is sly like as a fox.
Nope.
Oh, sly. Oh,
You've got it. You've got it there. Yes, Tabo.
Is a sly.
There we go. The thief is a sly fox. Very good. The second one, she is sweet like chocolate. Yes, how? How do we make that into a metaphor?
She is sweet.
She is a
Sweet chocolate.
You could say sweet chocolate, or just she is a chocolate would work as well. We know chocolate's sweet. The next one, his temper was as cold as ice. Megan, how do we make that into a metaphor? Very good. Perfect. Next one, her beautiful dress is as white as snow. Yes, Mia. You could say it is snow, or I thought you said is no. Is snow, or it is white snow. Perfect. Good job. All right, we understand similes. Yes, we don't ever have to look at them again. Yes, okay. Right, let's have a look at the next one. Highlight and look at the spelling. Rhythm and rhyme. Look at how it's spelled so that when you write in your exam, you don't confuse them and write the wrong answer. Rhythm. Who can tell me if I said to you, Leonie has no rhythm, what would that mean? What is it that she can't do? Yes, Emmanuel. Dance. Very good. Okay, so when we say someone has no rhythm, they battle to find the beat. So if a song's playing and the beat's going doof, 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 they like it. Okay, like when we are in assembly and you have to clap with the song. You all start on the beat and then the grade ones are, and then it drives me crazy. Rhythm on the beat. Very good. Okay. Perfect. Yes. Thank you. All right. So rhyming words help us create rhythm. It's a beautiful thing. And this is where rap and poetry come together. When you put words in a certain way, you actually create a beat with the words. If you read that poem in your head, okay, the one there, Dr. Seuss, both of them are Dr. Seuss, You read it in your head, sometimes you can hear the rhythm, but as soon as you say it out loud, you can hear it. So you're off to great places. Today's your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Can you hear it? The beat. Very good. The other one, you have brains in your head and feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. So we need rhyme to create rhythm. As you get older, and if you love creative writing, you'll be able to create rhythm without rhyme. It's quite difficult, but it can be done. For now, rhythm creates rhyme. Rhyme creates rhythm, other way around. Okay, so it creates a beat. All right, underneath that, highlight poetic devices. It says that a poet is limited to the materials he can use in creating his work. All he has are words to express his ideas and feelings. These words need to be precisely right on several levels all at once in order to make good poetry. So if I had to ask you, what materials does your parent have in order to do their job? If they're an accountant and they work in an office, they have their computer, they have their calculator, they have the internet. Those are all their devices. A poet has words, literally words. Okay, so they have to get it very right. So when we look at what makes a good poem, these are the aspects that we're looking at, the poetic devices. So it needs to highlight sound right. If a person's reading a poem out loud and they're stumbling over the words, they need to try and correct their poem so that it sounds right. The next one, it needs to have a highlight meaning. Okay, when you are little, roses are red, violets are blue, la 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 shoo. Okay, a nice rhythm, no meaning. Okay, unless you said I love you too, maybe there was a bit of meaning there. Okay, now as we're getting older, we need more meaning. A poem's not just written about the color red. Red is love. Okay, we need to have some meaning behind it. Easy to follow and assist the reader in understanding. It needs, so the meaning is to show what the poet's intention is. The next one you need to highlight, very important, it is arranged easily to follow. When a poem's difficult to follow, it makes a person feel uncomfortable. It's not something that's easily said out because your brain doesn't work that way. So when you write poetry, make sure that it's easy to follow, okay? And then the last one is quite important, to probe the depths of human thought, emotion, empathy. Who can tell me what's empathy? Yes, you can try. Yes, Leanne. Okay, so sympathy is when I say, oh, I feel terrible for you. Okay, sympathy. Empathy is not something everybody has. Empathy is when you see somebody, for example, say somebody loses a parent, passes away, and you can say, oh my gosh, I feel what you feel. I empathize with you. Not everybody has that in their head. I can see somebody crying and I say, I feel bad for you because you're crying. But if I can say, wow, in my heart, I know what you're feeling. You must be feeling lost. You must be feeling sad. You feel sick to your stomach. That's empathy. If you can feel what someone else is going through. Okay, so that's the difference. Poets are very good at that. They can express something that you go, oh, that's exactly how I feel. Okay, while appearing simple, self-contained, and pretentious. Okay, often poets are quite pretentious. That's a nice word for arrogance. Okay, when we put this all together, and these levels collectively, we highlight, call it poetic devices. Good to know for the exam. Okay, now this is the technical side of poetry. As soon as we can get through all of these, we can write beautiful poetry together. Highlighters ready. Do not highlight everything, please. We're highlighting the important things to study for the exam. Okay, so words or even portions of words can be clustered or juxtaposed. Highlight the word juxtaposed. A merit to anyone who can tell me, what does it mean when words are juxtaposed? So think of the word clustered, means two words that are similar, that are together. Juxtaposed. What do we say when something's not the same? We say it's the same or it's the opposite. Very good. Okay, juxtaposed is beautiful. It's a beautiful word. It means opposite. So it means if my poem, the heading of my poem was freedom, flowers, and beautiful children. And in my poem, I wrote about death and the war and guns. The two are completely juxtaposed, complete opposites. Okay, it's a beautiful way. You're allowed to do it in poetry. It's a beautiful way of saying opposites. Okay. To achieve specific kinds of effects when we hear them. The sound that can strike us as clever and pleasing or even soothing. Others we dislike and we strive to avoid. Okay, so like the word moist. Have you heard there's a lot of controversy around that word, moist? When people hear it, some people go, well, the word just makes people feel yucky. Okay, moist just means like damp. Damp, like if something is wet. It's not dry, it's moist. And people, there's big controversy. If you go look it up on the internet, people don't like that word. Okay, so it's the same thing. Some words make us feel uncomfortable. They like, it's not a nice word. It sometimes doesn't even feel nice to say it. All right, so that's what they're talking about. Sometimes poets avoid ugly words. Some of them don't. Some of them love ugly words. And we'll see later on in your poetry, we're going to do the Jabberwocky, which is very uncomfortable poem, but it's lovely. All right, underneath that, let's highlight alliteration. We all know alliteration, yes. Okay, but did you know alliteration is only the highlight consonant sound? Very important. What is a consonant? Yes, Mankoba, what is a consonant? Letters that are not what? Letters that are not vowels. Our vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and Y. All the other letters, B, C, D, F, G, all of those letters are consonants, okay? So alliteration is only when we repeat the consonant, okay? So that means at the beginning of the word, placed near each other. Yes, Mia? Sometimes. You know, with English, we like to make it difficult. Y is not a vowel, technically. A, E, I, O, U is a vowel. Sometimes Y, just to confuse you. Okay, and we can do examples of that later, but yes, it does. It's not technically a vowel, but it is used sometimes as a vowel. Okay, so let's have a look there. So the consonant, and often with alliteration, it's one letter being repeated. For example, fast and furious. The letter is F. For example, Peter and Andrew patted the pony. P. Peter patted pony. The letter P, consonant. Okay. In that, there can also be the letter T. Peter patted. Okay. So, but normally in an exam situation, it will be at the beginning of the word, repeating a letter. I won't make it too difficult. Then underneath that, highlight the heading assonance. And you can highlight the examples as well with each of these because it helps you to study. Assonance is now the repeating of the vowel sound. A, E, I, O, U. The word, the sound oo, that's a vowel and it's assonant. So when we repeat the sound, usually on the same or adjacent lines, these should be sounds that are accented or you stress the words or you repeat them. For example, he is a bruising loser. The sound oo and oo. See, it's not the same letter, it's the sound. The example, ants adore apples, it's the a sound. Got it? Yeah, sure. Okay, the next one, the word we all love to spell, onomatopoeia. The fact that onomatopoeia sounds like a weird word should help you remember that it's about sound. So highlight an onomatopoeia. It says words that sound like their meanings. Highlight that. Words that sound like their meanings. In here, the sticky tick of the old hall clock. The word tick sounds like the action of the clock. Sound should suit the tone. Heavy sounds for weightedness and light for the delicate ones. Onomatopoeia is words in actions, words that we can move to. So for example, boom, buzz, crackle, gurgle, hiss, pop, sizzle, snap, swoosh, whir, and zip. All sound words. Okay, onomatopoeia, remember, sounds weird, it's a sound word. Underneath that, let's highlight repetition. Repetition, we all know, is to repeat a word, a sound, a sentence. So in the exam, if I ask you, find the repetition, it doesn't mean just one word. It could possibly mean throughout the poem, there is a sentence being repeated. So if we look back at our poem about the ocean is a, the ocean is a. So what's being repeated? The ocean is. Okay, very good. Not just one word. Okay. So the purpose or the reuse of words and phrases for highlights effect. Why do we use repetition? We use it for effect. If you're writing a poem about women's rights and you say, women are strong, women are brave, women are great, women are the best. We're repeating it because we want to bring a point across. It's for an effect to show you women are, and the poem is about women being strong. Okay. So we use it for effect, especially with longer phrases that contain different keywords each time. It's called parallelism. You do not need to know that for the exam. It has been a central part of poetry in many cultures. Many of the Psalms in the Bible use repetition, where we repeat the thing for effect. It's repeated, the sentence. They use this as a device of one of their unifying elements. Unifying, make everything seem all together and one. For example, I was glad, so very, very glad. In that sentence, there's two things being repeated. What are they? Yes, glad and very good. Example, half a league, half a league, half a league onwards. Underneath that, cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Anyone have any idea where that comes from? Any idea? Yes, Mia? Yes, it's a speech about, it has a connection to war. Yes, Oliver? Yes, merit for you, Oliver. Very good. It is Shakespeare. Very good. Okay, underneath that, let's highlight rhyme. We've all been through rhyme. We understand the rhyming couplet. Yes. This device may have words that have different beginning sound, but those whose endings, highlight endings, sound alike, including the final vowel sounds, and everything following it are said to rhyme. For example, time, slime, mime. Yes, easy. Then we have double and triple rhymes. You don't need to know them. It's about the syllables. When you're in grade 1, we said clap the syllables. Cat, cat. Batman, Batman. That's when we clap syllables or where the sounds are stressed. So here, when we use a double rhyme, have a look at the words there. It has 2 syllables, a double one, revival, revival, arrival, survival. We look at the triple syllables, greenery, machinery, scenery, scenery. You can hear the 3. You don't need to know it for the exam. Good to know for poetry though. So when you rhyme words, make sure your syllables match. Underneath that, rhythm, we've spoken about. When someone has no rhythm, they can't dance. Rhythm helps to distinguish poetry from prose. Those of you that asked me for Eisteddfod, the difference, poetry normally rhymes and it has a rhythm. We have a beat. Prose is if you went home today and you were so mad because in class you got detention and you were not involved at all and the teacher wouldn't listen to you. So you went home and you wrote down your thoughts and you wrote, teacher, disrespectful, and you put down all your ideas onto a piece of paper. That would be prose. Okay, so nothing has to rhyme. There's free verse. You're just putting all your creativity onto a page. That's prose. That's the difference. Okay. Right, so for example there, fat black bucks in a wine barrel room, barrel house kings with feet unstable, staggered and reeled and pounded on the table, beat an empty barrel with the handle of a broom, hard as they were able, boom, boom, boom. Can you hear the rhythm? Yes. All right, on to the next page, the meaning of words. And here's where we learn all the awesome, awesome figures of speech that will help us write beautiful poetry, but you do need to understand them for the exam. So most words convey several meanings or shades of meanings at the same time. It's the poet's job to find. All right, we'll carry on tomorrow, grade 7. Okay, you can take your books with you.